All right, so we have Venthyr already at 80. Well, we're kind of like we're beating the Venthyr thing to like, I don't know. Night Fae doesn't sound fun for a rogue, but he's a Worgen. Maybe he goes like more feral. Like I'm thinking about like the character backstory and lore a little bit. I don't know. From my own imagination, it helps. Somehow I get more interested and invested in the character if I could have some story in the back of my mind. I've actually, I'm going to say this on stream because I forgot that I need to write it down. I needed to make sure I wasn't muted just now before I said this. I want to actually do backstories for my characters because I actually see them as unique individual characters, and they have their own kind of luck, and they have their own kind of like specialties and expertise, and even like the way they look influences how I play them a little bit. So like, I don't know, I think it'd be interesting to have like almost like little mini series comic like backstories for each character. And this is how old they are. Like right here, like they have actually got some playtime in this game. I don't know how many hours played I got all together. 466 days. And that's just what this captures. Like there's characters I've deleted, and I used to, in vanilla, I even had a whole other account that I got banned. I got banned. I was botting in vanilla, guys. I was one of those people with the glider account. But I changed my ways since then. I don't do any of that shit anymore, especially whenever I decided I was gonna sell this account. I started taking it seriously and protecting my account and information and stuff, and like not trying to like do any real money transaction shit. I didn't know that they added all that shit in the game over time though, and that's what's crazy is like the fact that you can boost characters now. Like you used to not be able to boost characters. That's why it was profitable to sell them, like, you know, sell accounts and shit. And I love the game so much. If I was just gonna, you know, I would just level another character. Look at all these. I would have sold all these guys and not got to know them. I got to know these guys. Really, that's the case. I think like I got to know like how they play and their rotations, and like they have their own, you know, I guess in Legion they started giving them like, you know, the classes each their own story. So you kind of got to experience what that was for your character to be an initiate in these different like long-standing traditions that your class has held. Like that shit's cool to me. So Legion was really cool, like for that reason. But changing covenants, I am told I could join the Kyrian. Is that the one we want? That's what I was trying to figure out. Which one do we want to get here that we haven't done? We still haven't got to max, so level 40, 50, he's Night Fae. Okay, this is what I wanted to check. Protocol's Night Fae, so I don't have to go Night Fae because he's actually pretty high Night Fae. I'm only a level 7 Venthyr. We're missing Maldraxxus? Do I want to do a Maldraxxus? I have the Necro guys. I feel like everybody I play is Maldraxxus nowadays. I think I'm gonna go Night Fae. But why don't I just level up my hunter? Yeah, I guess Maldraxxus. Makes more sense because Lucidil's like, well, he's a werewolf, so he should be.
Guide your path.
Wisdom. Kyrian. I don't know. I want to level this guy though. Let's go Night Fae. I'm feeling Night Fae. I don't know why.
Probably use a little help, huh?
Yeah, I can. Let's, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Never. Okay. Thank you. So that gives us soul shape. Oh, more shifting abilities, more shape shifting. So I think I just went Team Jacob. Not like a werewolf, but more like a shaman, druidic shapeshifter type shit. Sepsis? Infect the target's blood with nature damage? Sepsis? Ugh. That's when, like, you get toxins that build in your body and shit. That's not so good, right? And I'm gonna be inflicting this on people? Alright, we'll see how that works. Alright, we're gonna queue for dungeons. I'm gonna get out here on the road. Y'all are gonna see some of my cool macros. Actually, I resolved that I'm just gonna manually switch forms, because the macros actually don't make sense. It's not ready yet. I'm a lupine fox now. Alright, I think I could go to any zone. Let's go, let's finish the Venthyr. We'll do the Venthyr. We got trading favors and a valuable find, rather. Jesus. We'll complete those as we go, I'm sure. So yeah, Elude Stalwart, the Stalwart Vanguard. We're doing videos and we're conquering the foes. We're the good guys. We're good players. I'm trying to think of the things that I've been trying to like voice and speak about lately on my channel and shit. I'm working through stuff IRL, like healing from trauma and stuff like that, and dealing with like releasing emotions and like pent up stuff that I've just been holding on to. Like the other day, like I don't know what happened to me in like my first 5 years of my life, but I remember there was always fish and there was always eggs. I always remember fish and I always remember eggs, like chicken eggs, because across the street was like a chicken farm and in the backyard was a lake where we got the catfish. And I associate those smells, and I guess with like something that's not, I don't think it's good. It's like I have a disgust and a disdain for the smell of like burned eggs. If you ever smell burned eggs, it already smells bad, but for me it's like traumatic for some reason. Like I don't even realize that I'm getting triggered from it, and I'm like, where is this coming from? Like I don't even understand. So I'm like working through all that shit in the background, like while I'm not streaming, and it's really affected like my sense of like, and I don't know if it's directly that, but there's a lot of things that have happened in my life that have affected me and like psychologically like put a blueprint. I think that, you know, you hear like the first 7 years of a person's life is like the blueprint for the person that they become. And that's like how seriously you should take raising kids and like the decision to have a child and stuff like that. And I think also like part of what's waking that up is my son is my oldest. He's the age that my mother was whenever she had me. So it's like maybe there's some stuff there, maybe something I need to work through or like think about. And like I've been thinking about and working on those things, and I don't harbor any resentment or anything like that for anybody anymore, but there was a long period of my life where I did. And I don't think I knew I was. But it was like disguised in a way, like by these things. Like we were eating soup last night. My wife was like, why don't you ever want me to put any like fish in the soup? Like you don't like the way like fish soup tastes or something? I'm like, I just have this disdain for fish. Like it makes me physically ill whenever I eat it sometimes. And like I was like trying to think about where that came from in that moment, and I had this epiphany. I was like, I always remember fish being skinned on the back porch whenever I was like little, like younger than 5. And they would hang them up on the back porch and they would scale them, right? And to remove all the scales. And like I was like, what was going on then that like, you know, freaked me out, or like what got me like trying to run away from thinking about that stuff? And it was really kind of spooky. I kind of went down that trail with my wife and like just had this epiphany, and I like made the decision like I'm not gonna let my past rob me of things like fish and eggs. And over time, like as I've gotten older, I thought it was like a maturity thing. I thought I got mature enough that like I started like dating women, and women wanted fish and eggs and different meals and stuff like that we'd be eating on a date or something, and I'd be like trying to hide the fact that I'm actually kind of disgusted by this shit. So I'd try to go along with it, and I would even tell them like that stuff grosses me out, and like I would still have to eat the stuff and stomach it. And I developed the palate for it, especially like in the military, like in the army. Whenever you start doing like your missions and you're training all day, like you're hungry, like you're really hungry. It doesn't matter what it is, and you're gonna eat it. And like in basic, even like you didn't question what they put on your plate because you didn't want the drill sergeant jumping down your throat. So like I guess I've kind of like mind over matter, like kind of like trained myself to be able to accept these things, but I still don't go out of my way to get them. And those are really good, easy and convenient, healthy sources of protein that are actually like you can't overdo it on certain types of fish. Like there is a such thing as, you know, plastics and heavy metal pollution and shit like that. But it's still an option. Like I shouldn't be robbing myself of. So yeah, I had that little breakthrough. I thought I should share that. I was like, maybe should I talk about this on the stream? Like, I'm always afraid I'm gonna get emotional thinking about or talking about things from my past, because like I did kind of have like a rough upbringing. Like I'm older, I'm close to 40 years old, and our parents didn't have the internet or a lot of the support in technology and education and all kinds of things that we have access to nowadays. And I don't blame them for that. I don't think that's their fault. I think that they were trying to solve problems that their parents had caused for them in their lives. So like, I think that's the point, is like, don't let anything rob your power. I'm gonna die. And I try to actively like resolve conflicts that I have internally with things like that. And it kind of feels good to share that. I don't really go to like therapy. Like I feel like you can, if you're of a strong enough mind and you have a good enough like support system and like, but like this is not medical advice or anything like that, but I feel like therapy is for everybody. Like everybody should go see a therapist at least once to see what that looks like. I never had the patience to sit there and go through and find the right person for me. Like I did it once or twice and I was just like, you know what, this is just, it brings up all this stuff and then you're kind of left with it for the rest of the day thinking about it. And like, and I never got to the phase where me and the therapist just kind of like knew what was going on with each other. And like, I don't know, but I feel like now we have access to things like online help and stuff like that and over the phone, and like at any point you could. I never felt like I needed to. Like I never got to the point to where like I felt like I was beyond return. I've hit bottom. I've hit bottom a few times. I've hit bottom multiple times. I know what bottom feels like. This shit ain't fun. But I've never gone past a point of no return. I have way too much love in my life for that to ever happen. Thankfully, like that's my own, like, people talk about privilege and all this shit. I am very privileged, I guess. I've always been surrounded by love. I've never seen color. I've always had like great interactions with people. No matter where I've lived, I've been able to make friends. But I never belonged to any one group. I was never like, you know, when I grew up, there was this idea that you were like, you know, a smart person or you were an athletic person, and like you fit in these groups or you didn't fit in anywhere. Like, but like, I actually didn't even have any exposure to shows like Freaks and Geeks. Like there are certain things in culture, like even my boss, I remember when we were deployed, my first line supervisor used to always call me an uncultured swine because I didn't know about movies like Johnny Mnemonic or like not just different things like that, like Ender's Game. Like I'd never read that book, or like I hadn't been exposed to like D&D or Magic the Gathering or anything like that whenever I was younger. So I learned about all this, like even World of Warcraft and like deep gamer culture. Like I was a gamer before I even knew that it was a thing. And yeah, it's like once I found this world, it was like I found an oasis in a desert, and I didn't like feel like I was alone anymore. It's like I've always felt kind of separate, like different from most people. Like I don't know, not like Spider-Man or like superpowers away, not anything like imaginary or crazy like that, but just like I've always felt like I've been on the border, like on the edge, like amphibious, like a frog in the chat, like between worlds in a way, because like I'm not a child of the 80s and I'm not a child of the 90s. Like I guess you could say I'm a child of the 80s, but I'm on 85, so I saw the 80s and the 90s from an equal distance, and I grew up in transition. Like my whole life, like my brothers and sisters and I, we moved around, and you know, we made new friends, like, but we lost a lot of friends too. Like I think about that sometimes whenever I'm trying to work through stuff, because I have a tendency to elude. I'm still Stalwart. Like, there's no animosity. I'm not like plotting against you or anything, but I need my own space sometimes. I need to be able to like work through things that I can't understand, because we get exposed to complicated issues all the time, socially, like in interactions out in the world. You see some fucked up shit online and we don't give ourselves time to process it. We're just fed more information. And like, I don't have a cell phone. Like, this is how, like, I cut myself off, and I need peace. I need to be able to shut everything off around me. I need to be able to quiet my thoughts, and I need to be able to be deliberate about where I'm going in my life.